and be part of this wonderful event on a Sunday, which is always a good day for poetry for me. Even if it's sunny and you're inside, I promise we'll lighten your day with these few poems I've got for you. I've written 10 books, and I'm going to read from 3 of them today and one that I just finished last month. So I'm reading from A Blooming, Impromptu, which is a book of writing prompts, and my latest book, The River Answers. And I'm collaborating right now on my 12th book with Elizabeth Peckliner, who is giving me wonderful pictures and photos and art pieces to look at to inspire me to write poems. And she had a very exotic picture of a woman who looked somewhat dressed in a Turkish costume. It was very elaborate. And this is what I wrote. It's called, the first line is also part of the poem. It's called Exotic as Sea Salt on Chocolate, or braised grasshoppers for salivation, was the midget wrestling double bill at the Dynamo Arena skating rink. My date, nervous, sweaty palmed, ushered me to ringside seats where white purses were already thrust like scepters into the air. The cracked leather seat was a throne to a girl like me. Little Harry got pushed between the ropes and slithered unconscious at my feet. I shrank and rose out of this unfamiliar violence and dragged Gary after me. I was now ready for pickled eggs of moussaka, because I had just stepped over this briefly clad fellow who lay prostrate, ejected from the ring. I asked for mulligatawny soup from the Italian dining palace, my taste of the remarkable barely quenched. I ordered a demi-tasse, a pale cream sorbet on my way to Africa, or maybe Belize. I wanted to escape from the predictable blandness of the mill town, right out the door to the Taj Mahal, just on the corner of the quiet street. The next poem I'm going to read was based on a prompt I had, and it was to write a poem it's similar to William Shakespeare, using 2 of his lines from his sonnet and continue on from there and try and keep the character of the poem and the meaning of the poem together. It was very difficult, and I based it on William Shakespeare's Sonnet 12, and it is called Winter Gifts. That thou among the wastes of time must go, then of thy beauty do I question make. You ask me once again if I am old, and I will respond, in heart and mind I am but young, though my skin does so gently sag and my hair has lost its luster. Still, I wrap myself in perfume's gown and wonder at the simple problem of a mixing identity with form. For the balance of youth and wisdom is seen to be inviolable, and yet I yearn to call back time, see myself again as blank and lovely, though I much prefer the slower dances in your arms guiding me forward. I am but a thorny rose, whose blossoms fair and sweet doth bloom in the deepest days of this long winter. Thank you. This is prompt 4. It was writing a piece of prose about the first time you felt grown up around your parents. and this is called Coming of Age. My mom went to the beauty parlor every Friday at 9 a.m. for 30 years. She always looked smart and complete. My game was party girl, which I extinguished when I saw my folks. It was tea and juice that passed my lips when I was with them. Couldn't let them know I was following Jimmy Buffett to Margaritaville at least once a month. I was 30, and with this decade came the courage to ask Mom if I could make her a drink. She paused, looked at the clock, and giggled. For my bag, I took tequila, Grand Marnier, and Rose's lime cordial. I free poured into the blender and salted the glasses, poured the drinks, and smiled. 11:56 a.m. on a Sunday, perfect time for a toast. My mom and I knocked back our first drink. Then she slid her glass towards me, warmly, effusively. We clinked glasses and tossed back the second. We languidly sat on the kitchen chairs and mumbled something about a third. That would be doable, possibly. So we sloppily and sentimentally downed it in seconds. Then we were both on the floor laughing, Mom's hair askew and her dress pulled up to her waist. Me, incoherent and maudlin. That was the day my mom and I shrugged off childhood to enter the realm of friendship. My husband and father found us naked, entangled, with mouths agape, sleeping peacefully under the bed. This is another poem, a love poem based on the infinitesimal. It is called Safe Harbor. I nestle into your neck, burrowing like a tick. My scent mingles with yours, and my breath rises and falls against the gentle tide of your heartbeat. How can I feel such peace in the squall that spreads its icy fingers over the land? Your hand cups my head, and I lean into the sacred safety of you that has come after 30 years of gain and loss. Tendrils of your love fill hollow places of my bird-bone loneliness. Once I didn't know it could be this way. I thought love was something shiny and not this burnished light that joins us like steel. Write a poem about color. Snow. Its very absence of shadow gives it form. Confectioner's sugar, a feathery stillness. The hard fists of snow nests in his warm hand, and he lifts up his arm and pegs the ice ball at the small red-jacketed boy who is leaning on the tree. This splat gives the red coat a name, Mark. Loser, wimp. But inside, he's a fireman or a letter carrier, and he doesn't care. Angels have been here, stretched out in the garden, mittened fists and legs pumping, small heads framed in a flutter of wings. Fence posts wear bonnets and broken down washers are wrapped in gauze. This bouquet of shimmer gives shape to the brown branch and the slice of Delft sky. The old maple's tufted arms catch the breeze, cascading snowflakes, and the black dog runs in circles, eyes wild, wet tongue laughing. Bounty. Come follow me, my love, past the broken stairs where a trail converges with splashes of foxglove and magenta lupins. They mark the way to the great alders and pricks of blackberry, which ignites the rocky path with apron green, plump, purple light. Ripened fruit sweetens the air, welcoming the bees and white-tailed deer. See the brackish puddles reflect the morning sky and watch the leaf twirl lazily in the freshening breeze. This is us, the call of the crows, the shadow of the maple, are constant and unrestrained. I want to die here in this moment, turning the black sod over with my own soft hands. The next poem I'm going to read to you was probably the most challenging poem I've ever written. I usually write a poem in 3 or 4 hours, but this one took me 2 days, and it's a Galata, which is an old Spanish form of poetry based on 4 lines of an epigraph, and the 6th and the 9th line should rhyme, and the last line of the verse is taken from the epigraph. And I love Leonard Cohen, so this song is one of my favorites. The Navajo people purposely weave a flaw into their blankets for the same reason. They believe there is no perfection. I wrote a love poem, and that's right. Perfect, right? The flaw. Here's the glossa. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in, by Leonard Cohen. Tell triumphs that lit your heart on fire. When you ached, you burned, spurred on by the thought of skin and silken touch, entwined with mine on the snowy bed where everything is bathed in light. So white it shines through panes. A rose in a cut glass vase stands on burnished wood, casts a shadow. Beauty is fleeting like summer rain. Ring the bells that still can ring. For if you hear them, you can say today before the fire is out, come dance with me to 60s tunes where everything was cool and sweet. We'll dance in the summer streets, pick flowers for our graying hair, gaze on moments of great beauty, drown the fear of flying free before the whole becomes just gaping tears. Forget your perfect offering. If you do, you'll spread right out in evening like a broadleaf maple tree in spring. You'll bend and move to moonlight's glow and travel past to find the junction when time and sinew open like a key. We must learn to crawl before we start. Remember that the distance traveled is measured by your gleaming smile, despite the pull on both of our hearts. There's a crack in everything. Nothing more than just a tiny fracture on this clean slate we call our lives. We're silver soldered to each other, seeing both the terror and amazement in each other's eyes. We're not afraid. You gave me this token of an opal ring so I could see the never-ending nature of this living, breathing love. So tight. Pull open your curtains. Just sing. That's how the light gets in. Thank you. In April, as usual, I wrote for National Poetry Month every day. And I wrote on Earth Day, which was particularly important for me. And this is the poem I came up with in April. Neither yours nor mine. In the beginning, there was only sky and the feline creep of sun rising on the sword fern bank. The Thompson rushed like a demon to the lake amidst the woods. Dragonflies and butterflies fanned the air with light. They painted the wild orchids with their fluttered, swooping flight. The heat and cool water combined and made a veil over the dark and foaming froth. In this time, before fences and ownership of land, the sky and water vowed an oath to never be forgotten or stolen like a coin. This earth is a living anthem raised for beauty that is neither yours nor mine. This one I wrote last week with my collaboration with Elizabeth Peckliner, and it's called How Do You Pack Your Life into a Poem That You Know Will End Badly? Words try to button down the essence of your journey, but they miss the scent of oranges or the beating fontanelle of a newborn's head. How do you know the very word you choose for the ending will be the same as for the hot spark of universal beginnings? My poem contains me in its magnificent simplicity. It is a repeated mantra. Choose love. I wrote this for the JCC, and it was to a painting there of Janis Joplin. So I wrote this poem called The Last Thing to Go. You looked at me through your rose-colored glasses, Janis. You held your pain in the scorch of your voice. You curled and leaned back into the hot frenzy of music. Made a nation of wanderers want to hang around for a while. I wasn't empty or lonely all the way with you to New Orleans. For tunes with the sugar you poured in my coffee, beads and peace signs were the mark of the tribe. We were hungry for heroes who burned flags and wouldn't surrender to violence or apathy. Your naked songs now echo my longing for a simpler time when love was the last thing to go. And my last poem is dedicated to my daughter, Katy, who has been my rock through my life. In the end, I think we only take hours to live, to really live. Catch the wave, I shout to my daughter. Jump higher than me. Grab your children and leap, a salmon over turbulent water. Don't wait for a cloudless day to let yourself go. A kite, red tail flashing, saying, remember me, for you'll lift beyond time or space to the graceful, sublime acts only seconds away. They wait to be gathered, pink glories of a wild October rose. Thank you, Lara.